is it time for you to move? Maybe sell that old home, buy a new one? And if so, where are the hottest places to invest? Those were just some of the questions the Miami Herald tried to answer in its annual Miami-Dade County real estate report, led by the research and polling firm Bendixen Amandi International. That report surveys 100 of the county's top real estate experts and insiders, giving us a look at the trends in our housing market. And here to break this all down is Jane Wooldridge, Miami Herald business editor and project coordinator, Anthony Williams with Bendixen Amandi International. Well, thank you both for joining us.
Oh, we're terrific and delighted to be here.
Thank you for the invitation.
So what are the good news? What are the hot spots in this report? What are the parts to celebrate here?
Well, I think the good news is that if you own a home, it's probably value will continue to increase over the years to come. If you don't own a home, things have actually been more expensive than they are at the moment, so it might be a really good time to get in the market. And that's pretty much what our realtors told us, isn't it,
That's exactly
Anthony?
right. You know, what we've seen over the course of the last several years is that we went through that period where the market went down. It came back up pretty dramatically, and for the last couple of years it's been holding steady and growing at a gradual pace, which is a lot more stable situation to be in.
So you asked the question about whether it's time to buy, sell, and what was the answer in that? And I know you looked at like luxury, right, versus mid-prices.
Well, for the first time, we've traditionally in this report looked at luxury because it's been the bellwether of our economy. But now we know from the stories we've written that so many more people are in the mid-market segment, and so everybody thinks it's the time to buy.
Yeah, we're looking up there. Luxury, it says 59% say it's time to buy, mid-market 41%. The sell, not so much.
Exactly right. At the mid-market level, it really is more of a question of where you are in your life cycle, whether or not it's time to buy or sell. At the luxury market, I think you see a lot of investment coming in, both from the northeast of the United States as well as from Latin America, so there's a lot more upward pressure on the market, a lot more activity taking place.
There's just a lot of units already online and coming online, and you know, when you have more supply, that means that pricing tends to be favorable. So that it's a good time to buy, particularly at the higher end of the market. And we've seen some pretty amazing relative deals. Of course, if you are making a normal person's salary, like a school teacher or a fireman, then it's a bit more difficult.
So everybody wants to know where those deals are.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what you guys asked about the undervalued neighborhoods.
Right.
Are we seeing, you know, any changes? I guess last time we heard about, right, Midtown was like the place or one of the hot places.
Among the undervalued neighborhoods, one of the areas that I think is beginning to get more notice, and we've seen this now 2 years consecutively, is Homestead. You know, the rebirth of Homestead in the aftermath of Hurricane Andrew has been slow but steady, and now there's a lot of consciousness among professionals in the industry that that's an area where you can really achieve some significant value.
It's also an area where the prices have not gone up quite as much as they have in some of the other areas. So there's really great value there. Of course, whether or not there's great value for you has to do with where you work, because if it's a really long drive for you, that might shift the value equation.
Little Havana was on the list again, correct?
Little Havana, if I were putting my personal money down now for somewhere down the road, I would be buying in Little Havana. It's close in, close to downtown. There's a lot of stock there that hasn't really been redeveloped yet, and you've got to figure it will be soon. And there's some great restaurants. I was out at a restaurant last night at Little Havana, and I was thinking that's certainly a place I'd want to go back.
Yeah, a lot of the professionals that we spoke to the neighborhood amenities that drive decision making in terms of purchases, and Little Havana is one of those neighborhoods that has begun to round out and offers everything that an average buyer would want.
Was there any neighborhood that was surprising to you or new?
I don't know that there's really a surprise because we've been doing this for a while, but you do see neighborhoods shift on the continuum, and I think that the design district, if you haven't been to the design district lately, you should. It's largely complete now. It's gorgeous, and it's an area where you can see real value would be coming in that neighborhood.
One area where you might consider it not a surprise, but definitely a shift, is Brickell for several years has been considered the hot up-and-coming emerging market. But now you're seeing Brickell become a more mature, stable market. It's not the next thing, it already is.
Right. Upper East Side, what area is that?
Well, that's somewhere around 79th Street
Okay.
and Biscayne. And I drove up there just today, and you can see, again, there are a lot of restaurants up there that are really great and popular that not everybody knows about. And I can see signs of redevelopment on the 4. I wanted to go pull property reports when I got back to a computer because I can see some things coming online.
Now, you asked about Trump tax reform and what impact it's having. What did you hear?
Well, the respondents pretty much reflected what we have heard elsewhere, which is, at least in the short term, this is a stimulus boost because people who have money are the ones most likely to benefit from this reform, and they will use that money on buying additional real estate from what they already have. If you have a 401k or a stock account, you will have seen that going up continually. Also, a bit of a boost from the tax reform.
Right. And one of the particular things that was mentioned is the fact that you're no longer able to deduct your state income taxes means that people who are in states that have those taxes are looking for places to move. And so you're going to see some folks who are making South Florida their primary residence for tax purposes.
New Jersey and California in particular, I think we're seeing people head in to our area. Absolutely.
That's fascinating. Okay, I'm going to shift the discussion a little bit and ask you, I guess it wasn't a surprise to you, but how important thinking about traffic congestion was in the decision-making process of, buyers are going?
Well, we've been asking this question now for several years, and it's been consistently stated that buyers are taking into consideration traffic at every step of their decision-making process. And we're seeing it both ways. Not only are people purchasing close to where they work, but in many cases they're choosing to work in a different job because it's close to where they live.
And you're seeing the rise of neighborhood development in a way that we didn't used to. Doral, some years ago was just a logistics center. Now you've got houses and schools and shopping and restaurants there. You're seeing a redevelopment of Coconut Grove for the same reason, bringing an office there. And Wynwood is also getting more and more residential and office because people want to work and live in the same area, because it avoids the traffic issues.
It's really going to change the look of our entire community.
Exactly. You're going to end up with a lot of regional centers of influence rather than everybody flooding into the core.
Okay. We also asked about our change in weather, in what impact climate change has, what impact it has on buyers. Was that really a significant issue for them?
We've actually been surprised that it hasn't been more of a concern. Only about 26% of the real estate professionals that we surveyed indicated that their clients were mentioning this as a cause of concern or major decision-making factor for them. Despite what we saw last year with the hurricane season, it hasn't yet risen to the level of...
And we've been hearing about it in media reports. Is that really going to change where people are buying, wanting to move inland? Were you surprised by that?
There were some reports that came out not very long ago, some major university studies that indicated that people were moving inland because of this. But I think what those studies did not take into account was that there was already this shift happening, that there's a glut of really luxury product on the beach. It's more affordable inland. A lot of the center of gravity around nightlife has moved to the mainland, a lot of restaurants on the mainland. And so this shift has been occurring regardless of what happens with climate change. So the studies that people may have read about and seen other places that say, people are running inland, those aren't really reflecting those other factors that are in the marketplace. So when Anthony's group asked the people who with boots on the ground, are people asking about this? We weren't surprised that they aren't asking about it because we've been following this for a while, but I think it does go counterintuitively to some of the other studies people may have read.
And I think it's something that we're going to have to look at long term. If we run into situations year after year where water is a major factor, then people may begin to make their business decisions more so on sea level rise than they currently are. As a native here, we know that the windstorm insurance has always been a major factor. Building our product to make sure that we can withstand high winds has always been a major concern. But high water level has never been one of the issues that we were worried about. Last year was the first time that I think it opened people's eyes. If we get more of that, it may change perceptions.
All right. Thank you both. Great insight. We really appreciate it. And we hope you'll join us again soon.
We'll look forward to it.
All right. Thank you both, Jane Wooldridge and Anthony Williams. And we'll have a link to the full 2018 real estate study on our Facebook page at Your South FL. So what's your take on the housing market in Miami-Dade or in your neighborhood in South Florida? We want to hear from you. Reach out to us by email or post a video or comment about this or any topic we discussed on today's show by going to our Facebook page at Your South FL, and we look forward to hearing from you.